video on using up some leftover Christmas pudding. So it's been the Christmas functions. I have been always at the end of the function. People don't want the Christmas pudding. They want ice cream instead because they've eaten too much, and then so they can't force some Christmas pudding down. So they want some ice cream instead, or they don't like Christmas pudding. So I always have to cook enough pudding for everyone, and I can't really take it for granted that not everyone's going to have it. So I always, if there's 100 people going to a function, there's always 100 portions of Christmas pudding. Inevitably, there's always some left. So what you normally do is you just throw it in the bin because you're fed up with the stuff, to be honest. But as I have spent this year faffing around with rich fruitcakes and adding different things to them in different kind of combinations, all kinds of different kind of things, the brainwave was, well, let's take the leftover Christmas pudding that's been cooked originally and then reheated by me, because that's generally what you're doing, and then use that as the fruit element in a rich fruit cake. So I've done this with all kinds of things. So I did it with what did I do it with? I've done it with all kinds of different kinds of dried fruits. I have done it with I'm using this for something else, but like like a fruit loaf as well. So I had some leftover fruit loaf, and I put fruit loaf in it in the mixture to kind of like be a bit of a fat rascal type of thing, just to kind of use things up and see what we can use instead, because I don't really like throwing things away. So we'll have to go through this, and I'm going to do this because I need to kind of understand what I'm doing as well. So that's a 3-egg mix of rich fruit cake. So I'll put the recipe in the description, but it's basically it's the 4-4-4-4-4-4-2 method. So for every 2 eggs you put in 4 ounces of flour, sugar and butter. There's 3 eggs in there because that's the size of fruitcake that I make, which goes in those containers, which I'll put that size in the description as well. So for a 3-egg mix, for every egg that you put in a rich fruit cake, you put in ½ a pound of dried fruit. Kind of anything you fancy, really. You can put some cherries in there, you put some candied peel in there. Oh yeah, I faffed around with candied peel this year and improved the stuff that you buy from the supermarkets. That was interesting, that was worth doing. So, and the combined weight of all those different ingredients that you're going to put in, glass of cherries, all that kind of stuff, that needs to come to ½ a pound per egg that you put. Egg cake mixture. So, because there's 3 eggs in there, there's £1.5 pound of dried fruit. Let's get out of that way. So, that's what £1.5 pound of the cheapest sultanas I get from the supermarket. So these from Lidl, they're about £1 for 500 grams, which is just, I don't know what that is in pounds. But they are the cheapest ones that you can get the hands on, although I have got cheaper from a local Indian supermarket, and they were very good, but they're a little bit close to the date when they needed to using it up. So, and that is £1.5 pound of chopped up Christmas cake. Oh, there you can see it. So it comes in a log like that. It's catering ones. So it's a bit dense. So what I did think was, because it was a little bit more dense than fruit, I kind of like it just seemed heavy. It just seemed heavy. I kind of thought we'd end up having to put less weight of the pudding in than dried fruit, because we're really kind of going for. I just need to wipe my hands. I've got sticky on them. Because we're going for volume rather than weight. So, I mean, if we were to think of it this way, if we were to put in £1.5 pound of marshmallows, that'd be far too much. That'd be far too much. But I kind of thought the Christmas pudding felt denser, so we'd end up putting less in. But it looks about the same. It looks about the same. So, and I think because I've chopped it up already, so it's about the size, maybe double the size of a sultana raisin, that type of thing. I think I don't normally dust my fruit in flour, but I think I'm going to dust that fruit in flour just so it separates it all out. So I'm starting with a bit of a cold, which always happens I get through it was the last Christmas function yesterday, so I tend to get through Christmas okay, and then my body just wants to go into a bit of a shutdown as soon as I've done the last function. So my body kind of fights off all kinds of infections. Cut my hands, what we call it, I've got some kind of problem with the washing up liquid at the moment, which that kind of flares up at Christmas. But it all kind of like, my body fends it all off until I've done the last function, and then I normally get a flu or a cold over Christmas. Might be down to the excess amount of alcohol that you use to push yourself through things. That reward at the end of the night, you think, I'm home and I've had a shower and I'm tired. I'll just have a cocktail as well, just because I need some kind of celebration for finishing another function and everyone being relatively happy. Relatively being the word, because I've found recently that people seem to be incapable of being happy. So I'll break those up a little bit, a little bit more flour. Now the flour, if you add flour, it's going to affect the cake, but it's quite a lot of cake, it's just not affected that much. So I just want to, I don't want any big lumps of Christmas pudding in it, so I probably should pause and then we'll be back. But you see what I'm doing. Right, that's enough, otherwise we could go on forever. So that's there like that. Oh no, don't actually put, we don't like that out at the bottom. And then I always mix with a wooden spoon because metal spoons tend to bend and spatulas bend as well. I could really do with a spatula that's not going to feel like it's going to snap if it's got too much weight on it. But do you know, I'll have another complaint. I don't think things are designed for people who are actually going to use them. I think I could probably take some more of that in there, but let's just leave it at that. I'm going to put some more in. No, let's just leave it at that and see what happens. And then because I'm licking my fingers, because I've got some more Christmas pudding bits there, let's put a little bit more in. I think that'll take a little bit more. So because I've got another bit of Christmas pudding, that much, let's put that in another cake, but bulk it out with more sultanas, because I don't want it to be overly powerful or overly dense. Or too heavy, and then I think there might be a danger of that. So, and then we can get an idea for future. If it's something that we can just take all, that's okay, that's better. So if we can take the whole Christmas pudding and just make cakes out of that, or we actually need to use it as part of. So I found that I made some dehydrated orange. And I kind of thought, well, I could see if that works as a dried fruit in a cake, and it was just too dry. Because it was dehydrated, it just sucked too much moisture out of the cake and made a dry cake. So for that type of thing, it would be better. It was not. The dehydrated orange was nice, but it needed to be part of a cake, not the whole kind of amount. So instead of using candied peel, you could use the dehydrated orange in there. So that was another one of my experiments this year. That's how it looks. Okay. It looks like it's about the right kind of height. So you don't need to see me mixing that with some sultanas. We can just put these in the oven. Now, not many people watch my videos, so what I do, I'll explain how we make a cake. So it's going to be in about 140 degrees for about 3 hours. So that means the cake needs a little bit of protection. There's a little bit of cake mixture. That cake mixture needs to come out onto the cake as well. I'm going to talk about something else. So cake mixture, the cake will dry out if we don't cover the top. So what I tend to do is, we've got 3 layers of baking parchment in the cake tin, and then I'll put a layer of baking parchment over the top, and tuck it underneath like that, so the weight of the cake holds it down, and then that'll mean that the top of the cake doesn't dry out too much. So it'll take about 3 hours, maybe 3 1/4, 3 1/2, something like that. But we'll see how it turns out. I think it's going to be nice. 3 hours and a little bit. Let's have a look. Oh, and I've taken the top, taken the paper off the top. That's me taking the paper that was on the top off, just to colour them on the top because they're looking a little bit opaque. So there we go. Certainly starting to come away from the paper, which is generally a telltale sign that they are ready. So we'll let them cool and then we'll cut into them. So I know, well, I know for definite now, this is the one that is the half fruit, half Christmas pudding, because I ripped the paper there, but it's also kind of done that, so we definitely know that which one's that. And it looks like rolling them in the pudding in flour has kind of kept it at the top as well, so it should be evenly dispersed. So we'll let those go cold, we'll cut into the ends and we'll have a look, and then and we'll see what they're like. Let's cut into these cakes. So let's cut into this one first. This is the one that's just made with the 100% Christmas pudding. So what will happen, what will happen, what will happen? Look at that. Looks alright, doesn't it? That looks alright. You'd never guess that was Christmas pudding by the look of it. Well, do you know, that's really nice. That's really nice. That is a really good way and a successful way of using up Christmas pudding. There's always some left, isn't there? And what do you do with it? Well, someone might eat it the next day, but we can turn it into a mock fruit cake. Let's call it that. So that works. So this is definitely going to work then, isn't it? So if we've used it as part of the cake with some other dried fruit, and it's certainly going to work. So it doesn't matter how much you've kind of got, that you're always going to be able to bulk a cake out with other things as well. Which I do like that. I do like cutting down on food waste, and I do like thinking about things in a different way. What other things can we use in a fruit cake? So that's good as well. But it's already got the Christmas cake flavours in it already. So a lot richer is that for some reason. Probably down to the fruit. But anyway, so those are a success, and I never have to throw away a leftover Christmas cake, Christmas pudding again. And what I can do is I can save it, freeze it, and use it in a fruit cake, which I've generally always got in the house anyway. And so that kind of cuts down on the amount of dried fruit and other things that I need to put in the cake. And delicious. That's nice, is that? That works. I kind of knew it would, but I just thought it might sink in the cake, but certainly dusting it in the flour works. But anyway, so that's success, and on many levels. But there we go. They're going to be they'll be even nicer in a couple of months once they've been stored in their tight container. But there we go. Just something to add at the end of the video. So I, by mistake, had a container inside a container that I baked the cake in. So that would actually protect it in the same way that the 3 layers of baking parchment would. So potentially in future, I could just use one sheet of baking parchment and just double bag the containers, and that would work in the same way. So that kind of cuts down on a little bit of waste anyway, even though I tend to reuse those anyway. So the ones underneath were from another cake, but there we go. That's even better.